When we were talking about marriage, I found Claire Jones' diary written when he was 16. She's so fat and still likes me. It's kind of disgusting. I've found a girlfriend. I hope she can give up and stop looking at me like that. The complaints in the diary stopped on May 13th. On that day, I sacrificed my career as a weightlifter to save him. I vaguely remembered that in my freshman year, he asked me, "Do you want to be together?" When I agreed, I saw the look of relief on his face. I thought we were in love with each other, but it turned out that, after struggling for several years, he was just fulfilling a debt of gratitude. I suddenly felt it was meaningless. I called off the engagement and left the Jones family. One night a few months later, he drove and waited downstairs of my house. When he saw the man beside me, his eyes turned red. "Who is he? Is he your boyfriend?" Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. The midsummer night carried a hint of coolness. Claire didn't say a word since he entered the house. I sat aside, feeling a bit embarrassed. Aunt Jones took my hand, indicating that I should feel at ease. She said to Claire, "If you don't want to settle down, then call it off as soon as possible. It's been 7 years. Do you still want to get married or not? Only Alyssa has a good temper and thinks it's not urgent, but that's because she loves you. It doesn't mean what you do is right." Aunt Jones was so angry that her cheeks turned red. "How could I have given birth to such a thing like you?" I patted her on the back. "I'm really not in a hurry." "How can you not be in a hurry?" She turned her head. "This kid has ruined your life. If he doesn't want to take responsibility, I won't let him off." "I really don't understand. What on earth does he want to do?" The lighter was opened and closed restlessly. Claire had a cold face throughout. Only after his mother finished speaking did he sneer, raise his head, and say, "Then let's get married." He stood up. "You can arrange it however you want." He strode upstairs without looking at me even once. My heart tightened. I lowered my head, said a few words to Aunt Jones, and then quickly chased after him. The sound of rushing water came from the bathroom in the room. Claire was taking a shower. I sat on the bed, staring blankly at the floor. "Do you not want to get married?" The sound of water was too loud, and he couldn't hear my voice. He turned off the water, opened the door. Only a bathrobe was wrapped around his lower body. "What did you say?" His hair was wet, and he didn't even have time to dry himself. Water droplets rolled from his thin and handsome eyebrows to his pectoral muscles. My cheeks flushed suddenly. I stuttered, not knowing what to say for a moment. When Claire was changing clothes, I closed my eyes and counted sheep. It was not until his big hand landed on my head and he said, "I'm dressed. You can open your eyes now," that I slowly opened my eyes. He was already neatly dressed. He squatted down, looking at me at eye level, and asked, "What exactly do you want to say? Do you not want to get married?" "No." He turned his eyes away, got up, and started to pick up the dirty clothes he had changed. Don't think too much. But I knew Claire was lying. He didn't want to get married at all. I wanted to say that maybe we should postpone the wedding, or that I wasn't in a hurry, but the words got stuck in my throat, leaving only a sour feeling. I didn't dare to stay in the room any longer and was about to leave in a hurry. "Then I'll go to sleep first." He grabbed my hand, frowning in dissatisfaction. "Do you want to sleep in a separate room from me?" He reached out and lifted my face. "Are you crying?" "No. I've already agreed to everything. What else do you want me to do?" Claire suddenly felt annoyed. His face turned cold. "If you want to make a scene, then go ahead." In the 7 years we were together, he rarely spoke to me so harshly, but at this moment, perhaps the annoyance of being pressured to get married got the better of him. For the first time in front of me, he didn't hide his emotions. I was stunned, feeling like a clown stripped naked for a moment. He didn't look at me again and left the room. Only the faint scent of shower gel reminded me of what happened today. After this incident, neither Claire nor I mentioned what happened that night. Nor did we mention postponing the wedding, but he became less and less talkative. Even when choosing a wedding dress, he didn't bother to pay attention. He was often busy until midnight. When I sent him messages, he would reply after a long time, "I'm busy." He didn't come back for Aunt Jones's birthday either. Everyone tried to smooth things over with smiles, but we both knew very well that this was Claire's dissatisfaction with his mother. I ignored the strange feeling in my heart, pretended nothing had happened, and forced myself to practice smiling, until one day a few weeks later, when I woke up, I found him staring blankly at his phone. "Why aren't you sleeping?" I wanted to sit up, but he quickly put away his phone. "Go to sleep." But in that moment, I still clearly saw the photo on his screen. It was a photo of 17-year-old Claire and 17-year-old Michelle. I turned my back, feeling as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. What came to my mind was the contemptuous look in his childhood friend's eyes a few years ago. "So what if he's with you? You'll never be better than Sister Michelle," he drawled. Fat pig. What did I think at that time? I thought that as long as I persisted, Claire would be attracted to me one day. He would love me eventually. But now, the naked truth was right in front of me. My heart felt like it was being pricked by a needle. The pretense of strength I had maintained these days crumbled in an instant. I suddenly didn't want to get married anymore. I wanted to break up with Claire. After making this decision, I was conflicted about when to say it. Since I moved to the Jones family from high school, Aunt Jones had always been very kind to me. I could tell that she really loved me and treated me like her own daughter. That's why I was conflicted about how to tell them with the least amount of harm. I postponed the originally scheduled time for trying on the wedding dress on the pretext of having work in the company. After graduating from university, I entered a media company and was in charge of the planning and marketing of celebrities. Claire was not very satisfied with my job because it often required long-term overtime. And sometimes I even had to get up at 2 o'clock to attend a meeting. So when I said I was busy, he didn't suspect it at all. He even seemed to heave a sigh of relief. Except for Aunt Jones. She thought I was wronged and scolded Claire severely. When I went back, she had just finished making a phone call, and her eyes seemed red. She grabbed her bag and pulled me to go out. "It's okay, Alyssa. Auntie will take you to find him and make him give you an explanation. What kind of person is more important to him than trying on the wedding dress with his girlfriend? He's really confused." From Aunt Jones's words, I understood that Michelle had come back. No wonder he had been absent-minded these days. No wonder he would heave a sigh of relief when he heard I didn't have time to try on the wedding dress. No wonder. Everything made sense. When a person is extremely speechless, they really laugh. Aunt Jones was startled and hugged me. "Alyssa, Auntie knows you've been wronged. Don't be afraid. I'll stand up for you." "Auntie." I pushed her away and said softly, "Let me make my own decision. I'll handle it well." I went upstairs, stood there in a daze for a while, and wanted to take out my phone from my bag. But I didn't hold it firmly, and the things in the bag spilled all over the floor. I squatted down, picked up the phone, and simply leaned against the end of the bed to call him. The phone rang a few times. After it was answered, the voice on the other side was very noisy and hard to hear clearly. "What's up? Where are you?" The person on the other side was silent for a moment, then suddenly sneered. "What? Checking up on me?" He changed to a quieter place. "Alyssa, is it really necessary to go to this extent? After making my mom scold me, now you want to come too?" I said, "I'll marry you. Isn't that enough?" "Where are you?" I repeated. My fingers dug into my flesh, and I had to try hard to keep my composure. "XXXX. If you want to come, then come." He reported an address, paused, and then said, as if thinking of something, "Since you're coming, bring the file bag in my study for me." The phone was hung up. I stared at the ceiling for a long time before I managed not to let the tears fall. I rarely went into Claire's study because he didn't like it. The decoration of the study was in a typical black and white style. Just like him, cold and desolate. I saw the file folder on the table at a glance. Just as I was about to take it, my eyes fell on the diary placed beside it. Maybe people really have a sense at certain moments. Just like when we were in school, we would always know in advance that we were going to be in trouble before the teacher called our names. It was the same now. I knew I shouldn't open it, but my eyes were fixed on it. The moment I opened the diary, I couldn't help but hold my breath. August 29th, 2015. A new person came to the house. Mom and Dad said she was into sports and would live with us from now on. She always has a sweaty smell. It's so annoying. I remembered it was a hot day. I came to the Jones family with big and small bags. My parents and Aunt Jones were very good friends. That year, I entered the provincial team. To make my training more convenient, they transferred me to a new school. When I came to the Jones family, the first person who opened the door for me was Claire. He was wearing a clean white t-shirt. His hair was clean and fresh. He took the initiative to carry my things into the house and then turned back to ask me, "My name is Claire. What's your name?" "Alyssa." He smiled at me and put my things in the room. "The room is arranged for you. If you need anything, just tell me, and I'll ask my mom to arrange it for you." At that time, he was gentle and polite. I stood there, feeling nervous and uneasy. Looking at him, a soft seed seemed to fall into my heart. I never thought he thought of me like this at that time. November 5th, 2015. I always feel that the way she looks at me is a bit strange. Could she really like me? She even came to give me a birthday gift. A hand-knitted plush toy. Derek asked me for it, and I gave it to him. I felt goosebumps all over. January 3rd, 2016. I hate them making jokes about us. March 7th, 2016. She actually confessed to me. I'm speechless. Does she really think she's the female lead in a novel? How much longer does she need to move out? My throat seemed to be blocked by a layer of mucous membrane. My hands were trembling as I flipped through the diary. When I first came to City A, I didn't have many friends. There wasn't anyone in school who played with me either. Except for those who did sports. We would talk occasionally. Most of the time, I was alone. Claire took good care of me at school. He would remember my menstrual period, stand up for me when I was laughed at, and bandage me when I was injured. It was the most normal thing in the world to like Claire. Therefore, even though I found out that he didn't love me and even though I planned to break up with him, I never regretted liking him when I was young. When I was a teenager, I didn't have much money. So I, who was not good at handicrafts, learned from others to do handicrafts. That plush toy took me several weeks to finish, with repeated disassembling and remaking. When I gave it to him, all the eyes at the party turned to us. I felt a bit embarrassed and was about to take it back. But Claire had already taken it and put it back in the gift box. Thank you. I like it very much. I thought he really liked it. So even when his friend Derek maliciously mouthed, "Fat pig," at me, I didn't argue with him. I never cared about what others thought of me. My mother said that emotions should be reserved for those who treat you well. Since Claire liked it, I liked it too. At 17, I never thought that the gift would be given to Derek by him without hesitation. Derek threw it into the trash can as soon as he went out the door. I never knew where Derek's malice towards me came from until later I found out that it was just because I wasn't pretty. So he would target me maliciously. But I didn't know that at that time. I thought Claire was different from everyone else. I carried the thoughts of a young girl, like most people, with an ordinary unrequited love. Just because I wasn't pretty, I was labeled as disgusting and unbearable. When I confessed, I stuttered and couldn't even complete a sentence. He always smiled gently. Thank you for your liking, but I don't plan to fall in love for now. What was he thinking at that time? I felt a wave of nausea, wanting to vomit but unable to, only dry heaving. The physiological stimulation made tears fall from my eyes. I held the diary, forcing myself to read on. April 9th, 2016. I've found a girlfriend. I hope she can give up and stop looking at me like that. I couldn't help but laugh. I realized for the first time that my feelings were so ridiculous, so cheap, and so insignificant. But he could have told me. There were so many opportunities. As long as he told me, I wouldn't have gotten close. Why did he do considerate things on one hand and write such words on the other? The last update of the diary stopped on May 13th. On that day, Claire was asked for money by hooligans. He refused, and a fight broke out. To save him, I stood in front of him. In the end, my hand was severely injured by a stick. I could no longer do weightlifting. It was also after that Claire broke up with Michelle. Not long after, Michelle went abroad to study, and the two completely lost contact. After entering university, I began to pay attention to my appearance and figure management. It was then that my relationship with Claire really started to change. Maybe he remembered my kindness, or maybe the lights that night were too ambiguous. He suddenly held my hand and asked, "Do you still like me?" I was so nervous that I hardly dared to look at him. He held my neck and kissed me. That was my first kiss. It carried a faint mint fragrance. On the first day we confirmed our relationship. Claire brought me to Aunt Joan's. We're together. At that moment, he seemed more relaxed than ever, as if a stone in his heart had finally dropped. Now, looking back, I understand that what I thought was true love was just his self-righteous way of repaying a debt of gratitude. When I arrived at the place, Claire was playing billiards with Derek. His face was as cold as frost, and he didn't say a word. Derek, as usual, was fanning the flames beside him. "Michelle is back. Why don't you break up with her? You can't really be reluctant, can you?" "Hey." I still remember the first time I saw her. She was all fat, holding that plush toy and giving it to you. "Shut up, will you?" Claire put down the cue, about to say something, when the door was opened from the outside. Everyone in the room was stunned. Claire was flustered for a moment, but when he saw me as usual, he calmed down again. I handed him the file folder. "Here's what you wanted." Thank you. He was taken aback. And just as he was about to explain something, he saw me handing over the diary. Is it fun? I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. I asked hoarsely, is it fun, Claire? I threw the diary at him forcefully. He didn't move, and his eyes were filled with panic again. He seemed to want to hold my shoulders. Derek stepped forward and pushed me hard. Are you crazy? Slap. I slapped Derek in the face. I'm talking to him. What are you butting in for? Over the years, you've never had a good look on your face when you see me. Fat pig. Ugly girl. Aren't you tired of saying those words? I'm tired of hearing them. What? I'm a weightlifter. Is it something shameful that I gained weight for my career? Who dares to look down on me? My parents have never criticized my weight or appearance. What gives you the right? You're like a piece of chewing gum that can't be shaken off. People who don't know might think you like me. The way you keep biting at me like a dog. I was furious. My eyes red. Derek was stunned and didn't retort. Claire hugged me. Alyssa, calm down. I'm calm enough. I pushed him away forcefully, picked up the diary on the ground, and then pulled him to open it. The more Claire read, the paler his face became. He murmured, let me explain. Let's break up. I laughed, looking at him viciously. Really, just thinking about it makes me sick. I turned around and left without looking back. Claire wanted to chase after me, but I stopped him. If you chase after me, do you want to marry me? He stopped in his tracks and didn't move again. He watched me walk further and further away until I completely disappeared from his sight. After having a showdown with Claire, for several days after that, he would avoid me at home. Everyone in the family felt that something was wrong, but no one dared to ask. The first person I told was my mom. When she heard it, she wasn't surprised. She asked me, do you want to come home? I need to think about it. I said, I haven't told Auntie that we broke up yet. No matter what happened between me and Claire, Aunt Jones's kindness to me was real. I didn't want to make her sad. Moreover, I couldn't just leave my job here right away. Starting from scratch always requires courage. After hanging up the phone, I looked at myself in the mirror, lost in thought for a long time, probably because of the nature of my work. Surrounded by handsome men and beautiful women, I became more and more deliberate about maintaining my appearance. Gradually, I also became the little beauty in other people's mouths. I looked at myself in the mirror and seemed to see my past self again, gripping the bar, bending my knees, squatting down, practicing day after day. Finally, that person became more and more distant, and gradually turned into the exquisitely made-up girl who commuted to work on time every day in front of me. I became more beautiful, but I wasn't as happy as I thought I would be. I preferred the life of wearing sportswear and not wearing makeup, rather than being a high-strung city girl all the time. The choices in life often lie in a single thought. In the evening, I cooked a table of dishes. I didn't want to be a wishy-washy person like Claire. I also knew that I had to be the one to bring up the breakup. Otherwise Aunt Jones would never let it go. After having a good meal, I said, I broke up with Claire. Before she could say anything, I added, I was the one who brought it up. Aunt Jones's eyes immediately turned red. I held her hand and leaned my head on her shoulder. I know you feel sorry for me, but you can't force feelings. I really don't like him anymore. I'm going to resign. I submitted my resignation letter today. After finishing the work handover, I'm going back home. Auntie. I smiled at her. If you miss me, you can come and see me. Aunt Jones couldn't say anything. She just kept crying. She hugged me for a long time before choking out. It's Claire who's sorry for you. If I had known this would happen. I'm sorry. It took me a long time to comfort her and make her accept the fact. Claire heard that I was leaving half a month later. On the last day of my work handover, I booked a flight ticket at 10 o'clock the next morning to fly back to my hometown. He knocked on my door, his voice hoarse. Can we talk? Time can really dilute a lot of things. My mood was no longer as sad as it was at first, but had turned into a deeper sense of indifference. I have nothing to talk to you about. I twitched the corner of my mouth. Don't worry. We're breaking up amicably. I won't say anything more to Auntie, and she won't force you anymore. That's not what I mean. I opened the door. Claire and I looked at each other. He looked dejected. It seemed that he hadn't slept well these days. His haggardness was obvious. He asked, what time is your flight tomorrow? Can I see you off? Up to you. After saying that, I closed the door. The next day, Claire saw me off at the airport. I didn't refuse. After all, it was the last time. Even for Aunt Jones's sake, I didn't want to make it too unpleasant. After getting off the car, he handed me my luggage. When I took it, he didn't let go. After a few tugs, I lost my patience and looked at him coldly. He lowered his eyes guiltily and gradually let go of the suitcase. Keep in touch. I sneered and left without looking back. Before getting on the plane, the first thing I did was block Claire. Never having any contact with each other again was the best ending for us. After returning home, the first thing I did was sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. My hometown is not like a big city. Its pace is always very slow. After the wedding was called off, my relatives in my hometown didn't ask too many questions. They just told me to go out for a walk when I had nothing to do. A few weeks later, my relatives started arranging blind dates for me. My mom's mind was complex and managed to persuade them to give up the idea. Over the years, I had saved up quite a bit of money. All in all, it was more than 300,000. I deposited most of this money in a fixed-term account and used a small part for investment. My high school alumni, Nicola, was planning to start a self-media business. When she heard that I was back, she pestered me to join her. It was mainly a street-making friends show. Basically, we randomly interview a stranger. If he wants to make friends, he can write down his characteristics on a piece of paper, and then we pass it on to the next person. If they think they're suitable, we arrange a meeting. I was already thinking about what to do, and when I heard Nicola's words, I hit it off with her. I also transferred 50,000 yuan as the start-up capital for our business. Nicola hugged me, shouting and kissing me. Our cooperation is definitely going to be a hit. I was a bit helpless but also a bit happy, probably because a new life was right in front of me. Whether it was a success or a failure, I was excited about the scenery of another path in life. After deciding to start the self-media business, we began to research accounts and shooting. Our first shooting was at a university town. We randomly stopped a few passers-by, but the response was mediocre. So, we decided to shoot at an elementary school. This time, I performed more smoothly. Getting along with younger children always made me feel less tense. After the shooting, we were going to have a meal. Nicola suddenly grabbed my hand. Handsome guy. Under the tree in the distance, a guy in a black suit was standing. He had an inverted triangle figure and an outstanding appearance. It seemed that he had been looking at us for a long time. He trotted over, his cheeks a bit red. Is this a dating platform? He handed me his phone. Looking at me, can I get to know you? Ding. My phone received 2 text messages. It was from an unknown number. It sent a photo of Claire and Michelle holding hands. The caption read, "They're together." I didn't even need to think to know who this was. The feeling of nausea welled up again. I replied, "Are you being a jerk?" After sending it successfully, I blocked Derek's number. Nicola sensed my unhappiness and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Just ran into an asshole." As soon as I finished speaking, I looked up at the guy in front of me and explained, "I'm not talking about you." The guy didn't mind and smiled. "I know." He handed me his phone again. "Can I add you on Instagram?" "My name is Felix." After adding contact information and returning home, from my mom's hesitant words, I learned that my encounter with Felix was not a coincidence. We were junior high school alumni. I rummaged through the box and found the graduation photo. After looking for it several times, I finally matched the thin boy in the corner of the photo with the person I saw today. I really didn't have much impression of him. My mom said, "Maybe he's had a crush on you." After all these years, when the two of you meet again, it's like a spark igniting a fire. I laughed. "How many romance novels have you read?" I had been self-affectionate once with Claire, and I wouldn't do it a second time. I clicked on the profile picture of the newly added friend today. So we were junior high school classmates. The other side was typing and deleting for a long time, and finally replied, "You don't mind, do you? Comma, why would I mind? Comma, then let's meet often in the future." Then another message came. "I don't have many friends here." After that, for a while, Felix would pop up unexpectedly. Later, he simply came to help us. He had a great personality, lively, kind, and active. He could even chat with an 80-year-old lady. My mom, needless to say, when she met him once, she almost dragged him home for a meal. I said in a low voice, "You're a bit different from the first time I saw you." He didn't react at first. When he realized I was talking about his transformation from a suit-wearing guy to a youthful college student-like look, he scratched his head and smiled shyly. Because I thought the first impression was more important. Not important now. He bent down and leaned closer, his eyes bright. Now the second impression is more important. I didn't like the suit and tie elite type. and I didn't want to fall in love. After realizing Felix's feelings, I told him about it straightforwardly. That day, he drove directly to my house downstairs. Look out the window. Felix was holding a balloon and slowly let it go. I reached out and grabbed it, and saw the words pasted on the balloon. Then be my first friend in City B. Okay. We held one end of the balloon. Everything was quiet. The lonely moonlight shone on the man downstairs. He was probably very nervous. It seemed that every second of my hesitation was like announcing his death sentence. I fixed the balloon on the window. I sent him an Instagram message. Hello, new friend. Felix smiled. I received a message from Claire 2 months later. He used a new phone number to send me messages. After I blocked him, he would just change to another number. Once, I accidentally answered the call, but no one spoke on the other end. My patience was completely worn out. Claire, can you stop bothering me? His voice was hoarse. Mom misses you a lot. When will you come back to see her? As soon as he mentioned Aunt Jones, my heart softened a bit. During this period, she would occasionally transfer money to me, probably worried that I had no financial support after losing my job. When she saw that I didn't accept the money, she started sending me some healthy diet recipes. I remembered that when I first came to the Jones family, she was the same, trying different ways to cook for me. When I was sick, it was also her who took care of me all night without sleep. I couldn't be cruel to her. Therefore, even when it came to hating Claire, I couldn't be completely resolute. Seeing that my attitude was softening, he pressed on. Or I can come and pick you up. Aren't you and Michelle back together? I interrupted him. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. I sneered. Is this how you treat every girlfriend? Wanting what you can't have while having something already? Claire. I took a deep breath. Don't you think you're despicable? After this night, Claire was quiet for a long time. I thought that was the end of things between us. But I never expected to see Derek in this fourth-tier small city. Felix and I had just come out of the university town. A black Maybach stopped in front of us. When that face appeared, the smile on my face disappeared. So you've got a new boyfriend? He sneered. Hey, buddy, do you know what she used to low? Before he could finish, Felix beside me threw a punch. I was shocked. Derek fought back without showing any weakness. Someone around called the police. Since it was a mutual fight, in the end, both of them signed a settlement agreement and came out. Derek was rubbing the wound on his face while spitting out a mouthful of saliva fiercely. I walked up to him and grabbed his collar. Are you crazy? He looked at me playfully and suddenly laughed. Yeah, I'm crazy. What of it? He reached out to touch my hand. I quickly let go. Instead, he patted his collar. Claire and Michelle broke up. He still can't forget you. I was afraid the message wouldn't get through clearly, so I came here especially to tell you. Who would have thought you? He bent down, pulling a big smile at the corner of his mouth. Don't appreciate my kindness. I stared at him expressionlessly. He felt bored. I grabbed Felix's hand. He was slightly stunned, and then when he reacted, he held my hand even tighter. I just wanted to leave there as soon as possible and didn't notice Felix, whose ears were red, or Derek, whose face suddenly turned cold. Hey, Derek called me again, his eyes complex and deep. Get back together with Claire. I promise I won't scold you anymore. You're crazy. After a few months, I sent Claire a message for the first time. Can you control your dog? Perhaps because I was too angry. That night, I rarely dreamed about things in high school. My strong body seemed to draw attention wherever I went. Sometimes, the malice of teenagers comes out of nowhere. They pushed and shoved. Dare you kiss her? Come on. Are you asking for a beating? Go and compare with her. See whose is bigger. Once, when I came back from the restroom, a girl's shoelace was untied, and the naughty boys in the class were looking at the cleavage exposed at the collar of her dress with lewd eyes. I still remember that look clearly. It was so disgusting that my scalp tingled. When I walked over, I stepped on that guy's foot hard. He got angry and hit me, but his fist was blocked by Claire. Claire grabbed his hand and pushed him against the wall, pressing his face with one hand. He said coldly, "Apologize." The sunlight that day seemed to carry a faint fragrance of grass. My heart fluttered without any warning. When I woke up, the pillow was already soaked with tears. It was only 2 o'clock in the morning. I got up and poured a glass of water. Suddenly, I heard a noise outside the door. When I opened the door, I saw Claire. His face looked a bit tired. He was leaning against the car door, and there were scattered cigarette butts on the ground. The cold wind made his face pale, and he seemed to have lost a lot of weight. When he saw me, His originally unfocused eyes gradually became clear. The next second, the door was closed again. I lay back on the bed, and my phone received a new message. Sorry about Derek. I broke up with him. He won't come to trouble you anymore. After hesitating for a while, he added, I broke up with Michelle. Claire settled in City B temporarily. Every time I went downstairs, he was waiting outside. When I went back at night, he was still standing there. I ignored him. My mom also ignored him. A person should have self-respect and self-love. But you can't stop a dog from acting like a watchdog. Finally, she added, and it's not even his home. During this period, the self-media business I was doing finally achieved some success. We could gradually receive some small advertisements. Nicola and I became even more enthusiastic. We almost stretched one day into two. I was running around busily, racking my brains to come up with ideas. However, something bad happened after too much joy. I didn't see the road clearly and was accidentally scratched on the leg by a bicycle. Nicola helped me. Are you okay? Felix beside me ran away like the wind. When he came back, he was carrying big and small bags of medicine. Nicola teased him a lot. His breath hadn't calmed down yet, and he looked at me with bright eyes. Is it okay? What? To apply the medicine for you. In the end, I didn't let Felix help. I found a chair nearby and treated the wound myself. The shooting ended early, and Felix insisted on sending me back. The car was moving as slowly as a tortoise. He was looking around nervously. I didn't expose him. The journey that usually took half an hour took him an hour and a half to get home. After getting off the car, he quickly got out and opened the car door for me, and his hand naturally supported mine. Thank you. When I turned around, I stopped in my tracks. Claire was leaning against the wall, looking straight at me. His face was pale, and his mouth was moving. He walked closer. Felix noticed my unease and lowered his head to ask, Is he the person you hate? Yeah. I walked past him as if he didn't exist. Claire grabbed the corner of my clothes. My emotionless eyes fell on him. He woke up instantly and let go of his hand. He lowered his head to look at my foot. Did you apply the medicine? He got no response. Just silence. The door closed in front of him again. Just like countless times before. There was no response at all. After closing the door, the sound of stir-frying came from the kitchen. When my mom saw Felix, her eyes lit up. Felix, stay for dinner. He looked at me hesitantly. I nodded. We don't lack a pair of chopsticks for you. He smiled happily, and there were faint dimples at the corners of his mouth. I asked him, Aren't you curious who he is? I guessed it, he said while changing his shoes. But it doesn't matter. He got closer to me. You said you hate him, so now he's an unimportant person. After dinner, it was already 9 o'clock. The moon was rising above the branches. My mom asked me to send him downstairs. As soon as I opened the door, the smile on my mom's face disappeared. Standing here scaring people in the middle of the night. Felix's eyes fell on Claire, and he smiled meaningfully. Goodbye, Auntie. When I sent him to the car, I told him to be careful on the way. Suddenly, my hand was grabbed. Felix hugged me gently. He whispered in my ear, a hug between ordinary friends. Is that okay? You've already done it without asking. Sorry. Felix was forcefully pulled away. Claire grabbed his collar, his fist raised, like a crazy wild animal. Claire. His body froze, and his eyes turned red. I really couldn't understand his expression. He was the one who wanted to break up, and now he was the one showing this kind of expression. Felix laughed freely and disdainfully, and asked me, Should we call the police? Claire still didn't give up. Who is he? Is he your boyfriend? Claire, we've already broken up. I know. He became flustered, and tears fell one by one. He mumbled a few syllables in a confused and messy way. But I regret it. I regret it. Alyssa. But I don't regret it. I refused him straightforwardly. I don't regret breaking up with you, and I don't regret leaving City A. So I'm definitely not going back. Whether I have a boyfriend, if it's him or someone else, and who I will marry in the future, it has nothing to do with you. Because that person won't be you. The sword of Damocles finally fell, and the hope in his eyes completely disappeared. That night, Claire didn't stay downstairs anymore. One night, a long time later, I received a text message from Claire. It had been 2 months since our last meeting. Can we meet? Just to say goodbye for the last time. This time, I replied to him. Yes. It was snowing slightly outside the window, and everything was covered in white. Before I knew it, this year seemed to be coming to an end. It was both an end and a beginning. I made an appointment with Claire at a nearby coffee shop. There was thick snow on the ground. The sanitation workers started work early in the morning. When I went out, there were only tire tracks on the road. The snow on the sidewalk hadn't been shoveled clean yet, and the surface had turned into ice. I went up and kicked it. The seemingly hard snow quickly scattered, and I couldn't help laughing. But the smile quickly froze. Claire was standing not far away, looking at me deeply. For a moment, I seemed to be back in high school. In winter, when it snowed, what I liked most was making snowballs and then kicking them away. Claire opened the window and shouted, "Mom asked you to come up for dinner." "Okay." I turned back with a smile and then ran back into the house. When I walked over, Claire sighed softly in my ear. "I thought we really went back to the old days." He smiled bitterly, "But this time it's for farewell." We sat at opposite ends. I ordered a cup of coffee and looked at the time. "I only have an hour. I'm really sorry about the diary." He sat down. "I'm sorry. I don't care about that anymore." His hands were rubbing nervously. "If there hadn't been the diary incident, would we?" "There's no if." I interrupted him. "Even without the diary, it still wouldn't have worked between us. I've always had a question." He looked puzzled. "With so many years of our relationship, why didn't you give me a chance?" "Then let me ask you." I suppressed the annoyance in my heart. "Why did you get together with me in the first place?" He didn't say anything. "To repay a debt of gratitude." I summed up this absurd thing. "What gives you the right?" I slowly showed a smile. "What makes you think your love is a gift to me? Just because I liked you." But actually, not long after confessing to you, I had already moved on. The reason I saved you at that time was more because of our acquaintance. I would have saved anyone in that situation. If you hadn't given me hope later, I would have adjusted myself quickly and started a new life. I treated you well because I thought you were worthy. So I treated you well. I lowered my head, stirring the coffee, and couldn't help laughing. "Claire, love may be beautiful, but it's not big enough to ruin a person's life. Even without you, I can still live a good life. What I care about is that you had so many chances to tell me that you didn't love me, but you chose the worst way and tied us together. You wasted 7 years of your own life. You also wasted mine." Claire suddenly stood up. His eyes were flustered, and he wanted to explain but didn't know where to start. He closed his eyes, and the corners of his eyes were moist. "It's not like that. It's just that I myself. You didn't realize your own feelings." Seeing him nod, I laughed even more. "Since I was a child, my mom has told me not to let people I hate make me angry. I just need to care about the people who are worthy. That's why I didn't make a fuss with you because of Derek. First, I don't care about his evaluation or opinion. Second, I didn't want you to be unhappy. This is love. Love is a very obvious and clear thing in my heart. I liked you, so I wanted to treat you well. But what about your love?" I asked him back. Claire didn't say anything. "If I hadn't found that diary and we got married, you would still feel dissatisfied after marriage. You would think you were morally coerced into it, and our marriage would still be unhappy. You still don't seem to realize this, even after so long." I couldn't completely calm the ripples in my heart. "We broke up not because of the diary, nor because of Derek. It was your seemingly inclusive but actually arrogant attitude. You were looking down on me, but I'm not completely blameless." Under his nervous and uneasy gaze, I said softly, "I was wrong for not cutting my losses in time. When you let your friend treat me like that, I should have realized that it was time for us to end. Today is the last time I meet you. For Auntie's sake." I picked up my bag, and he quickly stood up. "Let's not meet again, Claire." Without looking at him again, I left without turning back. As I pushed the door open, my phone rang. Nicola urged, "Is it over? The gathering is waiting for you. If you don't come soon, someone might come looking for you." I smiled. "I'm coming right away." In March, I received a commission from a little girl. In the season when the weather was getting warm but still a bit cold, she was wearing a thin school uniform with a red scarf around her neck. Her left eye looked strange, as if she was blind. On the busy road, she stopped us. "Sister, can I make friends here? I want to make friends." The little girl's name was Shirley. Her parents died in a car accident when she was a child, and she was raised by her grandmother. Her grandmother often scolded her as a jinx, ignored her, and regarded her left eye as inauspicious. Her classmates also bullied her. "No one likes me." Her voice dropped. Because of this commission, we started looking in various primary schools. Finally, we found a girl in Lynn No. 1 primary school. The girl had a sweet smile, like a little sun. When we took her there, She jumped and skipped all the way. Her parents, who were following beside her, smiled helplessly. This child has been wild since she was a kid. After that, as if afraid that we might misunderstand something, she added, but there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, there's nothing wrong with it. Whether a person is lively or quiet, it's all part of who they are. When the two little girls met, within a quarter of an hour, they got along well. The girl lowered her head and said seriously, "Your eye is not ugly at all. They just have no taste. From today on, I'm your friend." I also said, "I'm your friend too." Nicola said, "Me too." The girl's mother squatted down and touched the girl's head. "My home isn't far from yours. If you miss her, you can come over. Auntie will cook delicious food for you." Before leaving, I said to the little girl, "Don't care too much about what people you don't like say to you. Those things aren't important. What's important is that you know who you are." I once read a sentence in Sophie Tana's book, "I want to be my own intimate lover and loyal comrade in arms. Self-esteem, self-love, self-confidence, all my life, until death do us part." The girl looked confused, and I smiled and hugged her. "Shirley, you're a really, really nice person." I didn't post this episode right away. I told Nicola that I still had an Easter egg to record. When I was editing the video at home in the evening, I heard the sound of a car at the door. Felix called, "Alyssa, come downstairs." We hadn't seen each other for almost a week. During this time, he joined a new company and had to fly abroad for business. He was so busy that he didn't even have time to rest. When I went downstairs, he was opening the trunk of the car. When he saw me, he waved. In the trunk were all kinds of snacks he had collected from abroad. He stuffed a few boxes into my hands, and most of them he held in his own arms. He said naturally, "Well, these are for an ordinary friend." I couldn't help laughing and crying. He raised his chin. "Friend, lead the way." Our relationship never developed further, and he didn't seem to care at all. Once again, I couldn't help asking, "So you liked me back then?" I wasn't even enlightened at that time. He moved closer to me. "I really wanted to be friends with you back then, but you transferred to another school not long after, and I was so sad." Felix used to be thin, small, and inferior. He always walked with his head down, while Alyssa always held her head high, fighting back against the malice she shouldn't have to bear. The teenage Felix thought, "I really want to be friends with Alyssa." But during those few years, he never took a step forward. On the day he learned that she had transferred, Felix hid at home and cried. Felix didn't tell Alyssa that at the age of 23, they had a brief encounter because of the company's business. But she didn't recognize him. He recognized her, though. Later, he had a conflict with the company's boss over their ideas and returned to his hometown. When he learned that Alyssa had come back, the first thing he did was to take the initiative. He really wanted to be friends with Alyssa. After getting along with Alyssa, the veiled things from the past were uncovered, and he saw a more real and brave Alyssa. His feelings for her were not love at first sight, but more like love growing out of long-term acquaintance. A seed was planted in junior high school, and after all these years, it took root and sprouted. Alyssa was shocked when she heard this. "I never thought that someone really wanted to be friends with me back then." Felix propped his chin and looked at her. "You shine on your own, and people on the same frequency will always be attracted to you." He was grateful that fate had brought them back together after so many twists and turns. Alyssa said to take it slow. He thought it was fine, because he didn't like fast-paced love either. Extra story. After separating from Alyssa in the coffee shop, Claire never sent her a message again. Just thinking about how their years-long relationship had ended up like this made his heart ache. However, he was the one who had caused all this. After Derek made trouble at her place, he had a big fight with him. He didn't understand why Derek had such great malice towards her and was biting her like a dog. Until Derek kept repeating, "Then go and chase her back. What's so good about City B that she wants to stay there?" Only then did he sense something different from Derek's twisted words. He narrowed his eyes slightly. "You like her?" Derek's body stiffened, and he sneered habitually. "Me like that fat. You like her?" This time it was a statement. Derek stopped pretending and simply gave up. "Yes. So what? Why does she always ignore me like I'm trash every time she looks at me? If she had just said a soft word to me, I wouldn't have bullied her." Hearing this, Claire felt it was unbelievable, and more of a sense of regret. He had actually let such a viper bite Alyssa for years. "But she disgusts you. Doesn't she disgust you?" Derek retorted. "I'm different from you." His eyes suddenly turned cold, and he approached Derek. I have feelings for her, but for Alyssa, it's all the same. He didn't pay attention to this sentence. He went to Alyssa's hometown and waited like a sick person downstairs of her house. He wanted to tell Alyssa that he liked her, that he had broken up with Michelle and didn't love her at all, that they could start over. But Alyssa didn't give him this chance. Just as Derek said, Alyssa equally disgusted him. After Alyssa left, he sat in the coffee shop for a long time. When he went out, he was at a loss for a moment. He didn't know where to go. He and Alyssa no longer had a home. No direction could lead to the home he had with Alyssa. He forced himself not to pay attention to her, throwing himself into work, but ended up in the hospital due to overwork. In the ward, he opened Alyssa's account. There was her latest video. In one of the videos, there was an Easter egg. It was what Alyssa said. To the dear girls, hello. What are you doing now? Are you buried in a sea of questions? Or are you rushing around in a busy city? Are you a student, an adult, or a mother? Are you doing well? Are you happy? No matter what your identity is, I still want to tell you today that you're really great. I used to be a weightlifter, with a strong body and an appearance that wasn't considered good looking in the eyes of the world. I've heard people talk about me and belittle me, but that doesn't define me. When I was a teenager, I always tried to stand up straight. I thought, what do they know? I could gain weight and practice day after day for training. I should be proud of myself. Similarly, I hope that you in front of the screen are proud of yourself. After graduating from university, I entered a big company and did marketing for a few years. When I resigned, I had a psychological struggle for a while, but I still chose to give up. I returned to my hometown and decided to take a break first. I was lucky. It was also at this time that I suddenly realized that the margin of error in life is much larger than I thought. But that's because she loves you. It doesn't mean what you do is right. Rather than going straight to the end, it's more important to make a new choice. Of course, it's okay not to look back, because maybe the next moment will be a turn for the better. Dear girls, I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope you like yourselves. Just like me, I'm very satisfied with myself. Claire watched this video over and over again, as if torturing himself. The pain in his heart became more and more intense. He remembered the girl's cold eyes that day. You were looking down on me. She was never weak. It was he who was weak, always using feelings to avoid problems. That day, he had a dream. In the dream, it was a snowy day. The girl, after making a snowball, threw herself into his arms. Alyssa, he mumbled. The girl looked up, her eyes bright and warm. Goodbye. In the dream, he said goodbye to her for the last time. In the dream, it was the most beautiful season in the world. Outside the dream, things had changed and people were no longer the same for many years. It turned out that, many years ago, he should have said goodbye gracefully. He realized it too late. He had let down a girl for so many years.